And welcome everyone to the Smash News Network Live for the final half hour. The final half hour of your souls not being cast into an ever-deepening and darkening abyss of YouTube nonsense and ultra-biting sarcasm. Just kidding, folks. It's the last half hour of winter. We'll be right back with you. Here is a track called Blacksmith. Perhaps you've heard it, perhaps not. Check out Golden Cat Productions. It's all over the internet. In the meantime, we'll be back in less than 5 minutes. Here is some solar imagery from you. Solar imagery source, Go 16 SUVI. By the way, that track's called Blacksmith, and that does have to do with science, interestingly enough, in that in many ways, the sun is the ultimate blacksmith, right? you know, since there's fusion going on, it's making metal, so to speak. Yeah, the sun, it's making metal. Not the same as Slayer. So, anyway, speaking of Slayer, welcome to your final hours. We hope you enjoyed your winter. All right, there we go. All right, sorry about that. I think I pressed a button I wasn't supposed to press. We are back. And yeah. All right, so we are good. Did a little inadvertent test there. Can anybody affirm that we are back? In the comments section, please. Also, don't forget to press the gear or whatever icon is in the upper right of your chat and click all messages. Click the little gear and press all messages. That way your chat will not be curated. All right. Yeah, we're trying to make sure that you are able to indeed. All right, stream looks fine. Anyway, what we'll talk about today is, well, first of all, check it out. Some exciting solar prominence going on there. It doesn't look like a CME. It looks like a filamentary collapse. Some of it probably did eject. And, all right. So, yes, Kimberly has a great question. If you had decided, yup, today is the final day, what would you do? Would you hide in a bunker? Or would you go stand directly under the asteroid strike? What would you do? Let us know in the comments. All right, so today, I don't even know what tabs I have open here. So let's have a little adventure. Of course, many of you are YouTube viewers. Obviously, you're all YouTube viewers since this is a YouTube exclusive. So thanks for tuning into the YouTube channel, by the way. We're frankly surprised that you were able to find the content. If you're new to the channel, press like and subscribe. Yes. Press like and subscribe as you are in the final hour. And thanks to our new subscribers, by the way, on YouTube. Now, today we will not be displaying chats on the screen. However, I will be responding to those that I'm able to. And if you want to really see an adventure into comments, go visit us on BitChute. Not because there's exclusive content over there. You know, on BitChute, we are indeed putting up maybe 10% of the content we put on YouTube. So don't worry. On YouTube, you're seeing mostly everything. On BitChute, it's just the main daily space weather / meteorology videos. But the comments. Oh, the comments. Now, we're not going to... Oh, man. So I don't want to handle new comments at the moment because I haven't curated them. But let's just... let's check this one out. Ionosphere gets walloped by space weather. Let's do that. And let's put our test pattern on the screen to make it slightly less ad-filled. So anyway, I guess I forgot to thumbs up my own video. There we go. And boom. Starts out with compass works on the level, so therefore Earth is a plane like Scripture says. Boom. First comment. How you like them apples? Bam. Bam. A1LAN, known as A1 Ian. It could be A1 Ian. I'm not sure. It could be Alan or A1 Ian. I really don't care. But Scripture says compass works on the level. Therefore, Earth is a plane, like Scripture says. This guy says, nobody described our plasma sun to my satisfaction. But the one that mentioned, spelled M-E-A, I'm not kidding, look, M-E-A-N-T-I-O-N-E-D. All its meaning comes from a hole in the ground where the North Pole is. Okay. So I said stars aren't, quote, electric. They're most likely composed of condensed matter, as per PM Robitaille's paper on liquid metallic hydrogen as the solar building block. This likely explains all of cosmology, give or take. It broke my brain, by the way. Let me just tell you about what occurred. Let me tell you about what occurred. As I've been, shall we say, deeply involved in space since about 1980, right? And one of the things that I noticed was not only just a hole in heliophysics, but not only the weirdness of cosmic rays, right? But I also noticed that there's some stuff that's might be a little questionable. Now, I remember in the mid-1990s, it was super interesting to note that a lot of prominent people who really knew their physics were saying things like massive radio source instead of black hole. So you may remember that from the mid-1990s. That was sort of a rift that still continues to this day that was starting to emerge because the word black hole was being used and some people don't like it and whatever. I'm not going to get into the term black hole. I'm going to stick with massive radio source, the term used since the 1990s. And, that's what people refer to Sagittarius A star as, the massive radio source seen in the... sorry, I'm getting spaghettified. I don't know what year it is. The massive radio source right there, it's represented by a blue dot. So those are all blue supermassive stars orbiting the core of the Milky Way galaxy. This view would be from, I don't know, maybe 2,000 light years. So let's just say if you were that close to the core, it would be an interesting place. If you had some good force shields, you'd be fine. Otherwise, you'd be less than fine. In Star Trek, they don't go to the center of the galaxy, but if you were an alien, wouldn't you hide behind certain things for all of you who believe in extraterrestrial intelligence? I frankly don't. I haven't seen any. I'm not seeing it. So, sorry. I've definitely seen some weird stuff. I've got some crazy stories, but never saw any sort of extraterrestrials or compelling proof that they exist. So, I think certainly there's probably some sort of life in the universe. Perhaps there's some kind of weird timeline thing going on. Maybe humans are the first sentient entity, but so far, all of the stuff that I see that's got funky stuff going on seems to be man-made. What do you think? Let us know in the comments about that one. As we are, by the way, we're in the final hour here. Oh my God, the final 15 minutes practically. The final 10 minutes of winter. So let's head to timeanddate.com. We'll show you how to navigate to the thing at the place where the dudes have the stuff about the time when the thing goes across the place. Is that making sense? Smash staff can clearly affirm that we are still live, although I don't know where she's gone. So hopefully her soul hasn't been cast into the River Styx. Okay, so if you go to, it's not visible. Timeanddate.com. If you go to Sun and Moon and you go to, I don't know. Thanks, Smash Staff. It turns out her soul has indeed not been cast into the River Styx or into any sort of ever-deepening and darkening abyss of doom, destruction, doggy doo-doo diarrhea. All right, so it's, what is it? Sun and Moon, Seasons or something. There we go, Seasons. And then you go to, like, the thing. It's the thing at the place, you see. It's great because they got this great graphic. Ultimately, spring happens at a certain moment, the moment that Earth's equator crosses the sun's. That's why you have people mad about it, because it's another thing that proves Earth is not flat. By the way, if you still think the Earth is flat, you're off by thousands of years. Nobody thought the Earth was flat in like the year 200. So it's pretty bad. But anyway, that's why it happens. And, now the sun will favor the northern hemisphere. So screw you. Screw you, Kimberly, and all you other noobs in the southern hemisphere. All you Brazilians and other jerks. We're taking the more direct rays of the sun back, and you can have your autumn and winter and like it. Since you have no choice, although you could go to the northern hemisphere. Just saying. Eventually, it may be a valid decision to move to the U.S. Probably just not today. Anyway, so that's a great graphic there if you want to check it out on timeanddate.com to explain to people what the Equinox is. And I know there's a countdown, which, oh my God, we're only 7 minutes out. Check it out, folks. I'm excited, by the way. And if you're wondering how I ended my winter, well, before this, what I was doing was classified. I'll tell you this spring all about it. So what else is going on? Anybody have any sort of deadlines they have to meet before the Earth's equator crosses the sun's equator? I mean, some people think today is the first day of spring, but it's sort of, it's not really, because, the first day of spring is like, has to be a day, and the word day comes into play when you say it's the first day of spring. The point is, the equinox is a specific moment in time, which occurs at 5:24 and 20 seconds. And I mean, I guess here's an interesting thing to look at. I know what to do. Check this out. You go to nullschool.net and you find the part of the planet where it's noon. That's what you do. Because that's the true spot. That's the real equinox spot. You know what I'm saying? You go to the place that's actually at noontime, which would be, there we go. Should be very centered on the equator there. Don't forget to help support nullschool.net by donating to nullschool.net instead of us. All right, let's get the test pattern off the screen there. That's a good one to show. Oh, now we're getting fancy. And I'm trying to read your chats here and do lots of things at the same time, so hang on a minute. Thanks, everybody, for leaving comments. I will attend to these here in a moment. Let me put that aside for a minute. I'm going to play a track called Glacial Drift 9. Be right back. All right. Pardon my lateness. I want to be the Freddy Krueger of space. I got to get some tinfoil fingernails and be like, you're going to have a dream about space, okay, kids? Whoa! All right, seriously, I'm trying to read your chats here. Keep them coming. We will... Climate change skeptic says, can he make it winter again? I hate spring. It does get moist in a lot of places, I gotta say. Spring is, I think, my favorite, though, because it represents the potential of the coming awesome months. Kimberly says you could move quarterly and skip spring. That is a good point. Climate change skeptic says it's so hot that it's cold in Florida. I know who that is. That's Zach Toven. You can try to hide behind the climate change skeptic. Yes, the sun. It's quite active, so make sure you make hay while the sun shines, and it does. You know, a lot of people are mad that Zarkova's model is utterly incorrect. And, you know, there's a great explanation for why Zarkova's model is incorrect. It's not because the math was wrong. The math is the math. It's right. The problem is the inputs. If you don't know what the inputs are, how are you going to forecast? If you don't know what generates a magnetic field, then how are you going to forecast the magnetic field's behavior? That's my question. And the answer is that it's a garbage in, garbage out model. So if you don't have the inputs, like any other model, any other computer model, of course, if you don't have the inputs, you've got garbage in and garbage out. So, you know, if you have to have 16 variables and you have 14 variables and 2 of them have a large effect on the rest of the math, then you've got a garbage in, garbage out model because you don't have the right inputs to get the correct answer as to what will be happening. So, and of course, I'm not going to get into cloud nucleation or anything like that because, hey, it's spring. Congratulations. I got completely sidetracked, and guess what? It's already been spring for 30 seconds, and I was talking about climate. So cheers. We were delighted to spend the last moments of winter with people like you. So, yeah, no countdowns. Countdowns are, I pass. Congratulations on surviving a global pandemic so far. Yeah, so what are your plans for spring? I plan to continue to pack on mileage because usually at this time of year, as a cyclist, my mileage is crap. And right now, my mileage is okay. So that's what's going on here. That's kind of the plan. And guess what? Oh yeah, what I did today is no longer classified. However, if you follow us on Instagram, you could already know. Because it was to consume this just after riding like this. Which I started out, by the way, at the Valley Preferred Cycling Center, where I put on 333 meters. Pardon my test pattern. Ah, yes. So, and by the way, some of those climbs were less than fun. But you might get a little bit of motivation by viewing the Instagram page. And look for more videos coming to YouTube, by the way, that have more lifestyle stuff. So it's always fun sharing some information about the classified things that occur. Often this time of year, if you're wondering, secret spring training camps happen where people mysteriously vanish and they end up in places where they weren't expected to go and train for bike racing. People go to classified locations and so on. Not all of us are followed by the UCI, so. One of our local riders, a rider called Bobby Lee, you can follow him on Instagram. It's BOBBYLEA. And he's a multiple-time Olympian and one of the local riders. He's originally from an area right near the Valley Preferred Cycling Center. And the one time he was at the gym and the UCI contacted him and said, "We're coming to test." So he had to drop what he was doing and go home immediately to get tested by the Union Cycliste Internationale, the UCI, the governing body of international cycling. So that's the kind of thing that happens if you compete at the Olympic level. You get a POP bodily fluids test. "We are coming now and you will give us the blood and the urine, yeah?" And if the answer is not yeah, then you'll get, let's see, if it's the first time, you get banned for 6 months, and if it's the second time, you get banned for 2 years, and the third time, you get banned lifetime or something like that. I never really worry about it too much. All right, so we got people that are real worried about, they want winter back. See, now what happened in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania? Let me just share what happened in Lehigh Valley. In Lehigh Valley, we had a harsh beginning of winter and then a real mild end of winter. So normally, by the time the spring equinox rolls around, I don't usually have over 100 miles in March. But this year, it's a different story. But, everybody must realize that there's a certain time when you want to peak with your form, so you don't want to get too out of control too early because there's a few more 1,000 miles to go yet this year. And it should be, shall we say, interesting. Of course, I've got my Antarctica gear. You just turn this inside out, and it's... All right, so... By the way, I'm shattering my neck looking at my phone because I have it plugged into the charger, which is super short. Hold on. Yeah, happy spring. Happy spring, everybody. By the way, I would note we've got the sultry. Oh, wait. The sultry. Check it out right here. The glorious Gene Simmons filament. Right here. Check it out. It looks just like Gene Simmons if you consider my artist's rendition. It's like a constellation. This could be Gene Simmons' unibrow, for example. It's a very well-named filament. Or maybe it's... No, I think it's this. Oh, here we go. I got it. I see why it was named this. Which viewer named this the Gene Simmons filament, by the way? I think this is a perfect name. And I believe I believe, what's his name? Cumia? I think Anthony Cumia would agree that this is an aptly named filament. The Gene Simmons filament. So if you take away the artist's rendition, it looks like Gene Simmons' unibrow, especially during the mid-1980s. And if you leave the artist's rendition, many would say that it looks almost exactly the spit-and image of Gene Simmons. Nothing against Gene Simmons personally, by the way. I mean, I never met the guy, but I've seen some interviews and I've heard some victims' tales. I've heard victims' tales. If you want to see some hilarious videos about some rock star stories, like Motley Crue has a great movie that's about their debauchery in the mid 1980s, but go look up Gene Simmons stories. There are a plethora. Okay. And, Gene Simmons isn't concerned that he's made an ass of himself. Thanks for joining us, Philosopher. Why don't you let us know what you're drinking? By the way, congratulations to Eugene. Eugene the Philosopher, yes. Having moved into a new physical location. A location where he's much closer to the valve, to the River Styx. Yes, the River Styx valve. I shouldn't divulge too much about his location. Anyway, Eugene is stoked. So we're delighted to see Eugene kicking off spring with his new pad. I won't say bachelor pad. His new den of iniquity. I think that's appropriate. All right, cheers. Just kidding, Eugene. All right, so what else is going on? Does anybody know what Greta Thunberg's up to today? Would anybody like to call into the Discord chat? I could always put headphones on my head like a savage and allow people to talk on the stream in the Discord chat. I guess I could visit this evil onto the live stream. It is something that we'll be using in the future for things like panel discussions, because there are many videos of people doing incredibly idiotic things. And, of course, playing videos and having people evaluate the videos is a super crazy industry. And, we're not trying to capitalize on it particularly, but it's just, you will get some lulls that you would not believe. All right, what do we got? What's going on in the chat? Is there... Oh, wait, we've got... Yeah, Abraham Barker agrees. The only extraterrestrials are the ones that are currently on the ISS. Exactly. Or I guess if you're on a plane, you're like in a low Earth orbit, right? You're extraterrestrial. All right, so what else is going on here? What else is going on over here? Who the F is use? Is that what is commonly known as ass hat? Eugene, don't make fun of the hat there, okay? The hat is legit. There's no tin foil involved. It's not Mylar. It's made of classified stuff there. So don't even go there. It's made of stuff that I can't even describe unless I read the fabric label. If I read the fabric label, I'd probably know what it was made out of, but it's classified and it blocks choice portions of the electromagnetic spectrum. And if you're in denial of that, then you probably don't believe chemtrails are real either, there, do you? Eugene, he's such a naive boy. He doesn't think that there's a large global scale campaign of spraying chemicals out of planes intentionally to do something. He doesn't believe that. He's like a berserker. He goes around like, oh, look, I'm such a good particle physicist. But then he is in denial of the particles coming out of the planes. By the way, this video has been demonetized for your viewing displeasure. Make sure you press the share button as we request review. Ads will not play, for the most part. However, in like 24 to 36 hours, they'll play because I'll be really careful to not say the word hydroxychloroquine or anything else like that. No, I think you're allowed to say the name of a molecule now. Just checking. All right. I apologize. Let me get back to my monitor here so that I can bring to you more graphics now that the final half hour is over. Congratulations on surviving another winter. Except for you savages in the southern hemisphere, what kind of psychos are you? What kind of weird... Think about this. Everybody who's in the northern hemisphere. And by the way, if you don't think the water swirls, there's a video about that on Smarter Every Day. I think it's Smarter Every Day. Was it Smarter Every Day and Veritasium that got together to be on opposite sides of the equator and make very, very level, carefully made tubs with careful types of drains on the bottom to verify that the water swirls the one way versus the other way? And it absolutely did it. Anyway, could that be another thing to make people think the earth is not flat? Here's the best argument, and I'm sure you've probably encountered legit flat earthers on the internet, right? The two best arguments are, can you explain the day-night transitions and the seasons with a single theory that's better than a spherical Earth on a tilted axis orbiting the sun? They won't be able to do that. So first of all, there's just that. But also, talk about the north and south celestial poles. Why does the one go clockwise and the other one go counterclockwise? How would that be? And then, of course, you could do the Eratosthenes move and have measurements of a stick at noontime on the equinox at different parts of the planet. Things like this. But I mean, seriously, the BitChute comments. In fact, let's get back to that. Now that Eugene's here, Eugene should enjoy some of these. Check it out. Light doesn't travel, radio signals propagate. The guy says, by the way, I don't believe human beings control the weather or climate. So this is the thing that I'll basically argue to the end of all time unless people gain the ability to control the weather and climate. And what the heck? Can you verify we're still live, anybody? Because I can't see my own feed now. That's YouTube. By the way, when the videos aren't monetized, they don't get recommended. So this is why we have that's why we take issue with the videos not being demonetized, because they're not recommended then. Because YouTube's priority is to play ads, so the mechanism that it uses is to algorithmically demonetize your live stream because reasons, which brings me to the point of why the video is named what it is. So, I mean, you might like our merch, you might hate our merch. What am I showing? You might like our merch, you might hate our merch, but our merch is hilarious. And it's, by the way, of quite high graphical quality. So don't try to shark-light us about things. Today's featured product is, because reasons, it's literally the title of the live streams. I guess I can view the chat, but I can't view the monitor. That's, thanks, YouTube. Dear YouTube, please fix your software. I have to look at OBS to see what the stream is doing because I can't view my own stream. By the way, if you're a content creator, you may have noticed that you have trouble finding your own video sometimes. Well, at least we showed all of Redbubble's gear. So anyway, because reasons. By the way, we shared an important financial video with our Smash Team Gold members just yesterday. You may want to check that out. Oh, look, I have a double tab open. And let's talk about Cygnus A. So Cygnus A is a massive radio galaxy. It's not very bright in X-ray. And it doesn't have a jet directed at us, so it's not a blazar or a quasar or anything like that. But it's a radio galaxy. And what's interesting about Cygnus A is that it has giant radio lobes. It's very famous for this. And here's the galactic nucleus. Way in here, that's the dense part of the galaxy. But it's like breeding some extra galaxies out here, give or take. I mean, these hot spots are stars, probably. Star breeding zones. So, yeah, radio galaxies are important because reasons. So I just figured I would show that because reasons. The whole stream is literally because reasons. I've only got 7% battery, folks. 7% battery. And my neck is getting stiff from having my head turned looking at my device. All right, this is perfect. All right, we're good. Oh, I got one. I haven't talked about this for a while. So let's talk about geoengineering. Geoengineering is a fun topic. It's a thing that humans can do, and they do it. For example, one of my favorite examples is, what was the country called? Bulgaria. Yeah, Bulgaria. Bulgaria, and maybe Eugene can verify this one. Bulgaria was in the news a few years ago while we were doing space weather. We used to just cover random science stories that I found interesting because we're always getting comments about chemtrails and so on. And the story was that Bulgaria was firing rockets like surface-to-air missiles. Surface-to-air missiles loaded with maybe potassium iodide, I don't know, whatever, cloud seeding chemicals to try to steer hailstorms away from crops, right? So that's the scale and the type of weird stuff that goes on with respect to geoengineering. So people look at a contrail that's in the troposphere, the part of the atmosphere where weather occurs, to like 50,000 feet of altitude. They look at contrails and they go, look, they're spraying to like block out sunlight is, I think, the most common idiotic thing that's stated. And they're not realizing, I guess, that it has to be in the stratosphere to stay up there for a period of time. So even if they were intentionally spraying, which the planes aren't equipped to do in the first place, it wouldn't be effective because it wouldn't be in the stratosphere, because these planes aren't flying in the stratosphere for the vast majority of the time. And anyway, it goes on and on. Making an argument against something like this is almost as ridiculous as trying to make one against the flat Earth, frankly, because it's so absurdly ridiculous, and it demonstrates such a shocking inability to understand elementary school physics, I guess junior high physics. Anyway, what's interesting about radio galaxies is that they extend the reach of the radio galaxy. Because if you were, so invisible light, it might not look super exciting, right? So there's Cygnus A invisible. But when you look at it in radio, what's evident is that if you were in certain parts of this galaxy would be a blazar from your perspective. So if you were right here, instead of like perfectly perpendicular to the radio lobes from our location in the universe, because keep in mind this is like about 530 million light years away, and it's in a busy part of the galaxy, so there's a lot of other noise sources around. Anyway, the point is, this galactic core would be a cosmic ray source if you were in some of these areas, right? It would have some effect on the interstellar wind. If you were on a star right here, it would be somewhat affected in some way by that stream, right? Now, of course, we do have many galaxies that are blazars and quasars, which are likely candidates to be cosmic ray sources, things like the brightest gamma ray sources. So, and that's how we end up. We used to cover lots of things like this. And, oh, by the way, there's the free Hemp Lucid giveaway. If you want free mushroom gummies, check out Twitter. It's pinned to our profile. And I'm not talking about that at the moment, but there are certain objects that I personally follow the emissions of in hard X-ray because there are only a few known cosmic ray point sources, right? And don't worry, I'm not going to start talking about Cygnus X3. But Cygnus A is actually, interestingly enough, it's the strongest radio source in the entire sky besides the sun. So in X-ray, it's not very bright, though. It's pretty uninteresting. After all, it is quite far away, and there is a lot of gas in between. So, and if you ever want to follow the X-ray outputs of your favorite super crazy objects in space, check out the Neil Gorell's Swift Observatory. What else can we look up? How about Vela Pulsar? That's a pretty strong X-ray source. Entry 275. There are the past, back to 2004, I think. Back to 2004, it looks like, for Vela Pulsar. And of course, that's a pretty exciting object. I think that's a pulsar wind nebula one, isn't it? It has an extremely asymmetrical jet system. The one jet is like a pulsar wind nebula or something. I can't remember. I'm not a fanboy of specific objects. I think it's real good in X-ray. Where's the Chandra? XMM Newton is pretty good. Too close up. There's the Chandra. Nope, it's just two jets. So there's the Vela Pulsar. That's a super famous image there from the Chandra X-ray Observatory. Some interesting stuff going on in there. All right, let me get to your comments here. I seriously cannot see my video feed. All right, now I can. All right, perfect. Julie, yes, HARP heats up tiny portions of the ionosphere. Tiny portions of the ionosphere. It takes a lot of wattage to heat up the part of the atmosphere where weather occurs. So, for example, this is an interesting thing, actually, because, and I believe there's plenty of documentation about this. If you turn on a Doppler radar, a Doppler weather radar, and, they have to sweep back and forth, they're constantly sweeping a certain area in order to do their job, they usually spin all the way around. That's why you see a circular signal from them. If you stop it so the array stops moving, it starts to heat up the atmosphere in a cone-shaped cloud. But it also heats up itself. So the reason people don't do this is because they want their Doppler radar to work and they don't want it to be destroyed. So yeah, it'll heat up the atmosphere, literally at the troposphere level, but it'll also heat up itself and probably shut down, if not burn up. So it's not a thing that's done because you can use it to heat up the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is heating up it also. HAARP is completely different. It's affecting the ionosphere, which isn't weather. I mean, upper level winds of the stratosphere are going to be affected by that, but that's not weather. Not like weather occurs in the troposphere, where the atmosphere is very dense. That's where all weather happens. Cirrus clouds are generally above that. All right, so let's go over some news headlines since it's been an interesting week, month, year, 3 years. And quick reminder, you can take Physics 2, you can learn to speak English by saying electricity and magnetism. You can take it for free from MIT online. All the course materials, lectures, the whole deal. In fact, I believe their entire curriculum is available, so you may want to check that out. In fact, why don't I put the link in the comments? Many people may think the electric universe is... Sorry, Eugene. By the way, Eugene was cast from the electric universe. He was cast out because he didn't hold up the dogma to a high enough standard. He denied some stuff that's total nonsense that they say, like everything's connected. So, okay, here's a great story for you. One of my friends, he just thinks that everything's connected in the whole universe, right? And he uses quantum entanglement as an argument for this. And so, what I say is that that's not science. It just isn't science. So imagine Jupiter's moons, right? Let me just show you some imagery of the sun. Let's get a great GIF image of Jupiter here. So imagine Jupiter's moons. And do we have a good GIF? There's one from NASA. Come on, then. Do it. Now imagine if you had Jupiter's moon right here. You could make a measurement on Jupiter's moon and figure out if you're quantum entangled with it, which you can. It's probably a thing. However, that's a pretty crap animation. Let me just get rid of that entirely because it sucks. What is that supposed to be? That is bad. Dag. That's burly. All right, let's put that up. So here's like come on. Come on, then. To quote Monty Python, come on, then. Anyway, just imagine Jupiter's moon, right? Here we go. Full screen. Yeah, that's not too bad. All right, perfect. So there's Jupiter's moon, right? You can measure it if you can see it. Now, what happens when it's on the other side of Jupiter? What happens? You'll be unable to measure it. which means you're not entangled with it. Now, if you put a satellite, then you'll be able to send some kind of a signal and probably figure out, after doing a ton of math to get the signal synchronized, if you're entangled with it. But when it's not measurable, if you're entangled with it, you can't prove it. Therefore, it isn't science. See what I'm saying? It's for extraordinary things to... What's the right term? Yeah, right. Yes, and thank you, Eugene. Another important example of geoengineering is Chinese Tibetan Plateau geoengineering, which is ground-based smokestacks that burn certain series of chemicals to attempt to affect the rainflow patterns of, like, the monsoon season of Central Asia or whatever it is. The Tibetan Plateau. You know, they're trying to affect rainfall patterns to be more beneficial for farming or whatever. That's real geoengineering. Planes are not spraying, and HARP is not controlling the weather. For God's sake. HARP is an experimental thing for proof of point that the ionosphere can be slightly attenuated by an artificial man-made, is it microwave? I think it's a microwave signal. I have no idea. But it's such a basic thing. So yeah, Chinese want to redistribute some rainfall. That's another legit example of geoengineering. Also, another thing is, there are permit holders in Colorado whose job it is to basically crop dust some storms, especially in the early part of the winter time, in order to attempt to divert systems so that most of those mountains out there don't have any snowmakers. It's not like the East where there's snowmakers everywhere. There aren't any snowmakers. So there are some planes whose job it is to... Let me get that off the screen. That's too much IO or whatever that is. All right, let's bring you some other funky graphics here, because I'll get back to geoengineering in a minute. It is a tired subject on the internet, though. I'll tell you that. It is not fun talking about geoengineering. It's just silly. Let's do the 48-hour SDO 94. That's acceptable. All right, so yeah, let's see, other geoengineering. One of the ones I get all the time is people will send a photo of, like, the inside of a plane. There is water tanks, other types of liquid plumbing and stuff in there, plumbing materials, and they think that is, hey, is there a big flare happening right now? What's up with that? That's a 48-hour video, by the way. Is that northeastern sunspot? Oh, check it out. Anyway. Yeah, they'll send a photograph of like a plane that has plumbing in it, and they're like, look, it's proof. Or they'll send you patents. I looked up the patents one time. The patents were for things like fire suppression equipment, de-icing, and icing. Check this out. There are systems that are designed to spray water on the outside of planes on purpose and make them into giant flying deadly blocks of ice, and then to spray fire suppression systems on them to get rid of the ice, which, by the way, is not a chemtrail. And, planes dumping fuel, that's also not a chemtrail. engines that need really pure, well-refined jet fuel, that's a thing. Chemicals being added to multi-million-dollar jet systems, that's not a thing. Planes full of tractor trailers worth of various chemicals flying around the stratosphere and spraying chemicals is just not a thing. Nobody has any imagery of it because it's not a thing. And there aren't planes to do this also, so those are also not a thing. Have we covered the godforsaken geoengineering sufficiently? I mean, it's seriously a dead horse, which I want to make into some Alpo. Did you know that the Alpo factory is right in North Allentown, Pennsylvania? All right. Anyway, so thanks everybody for leaving comments, etc. I'm still reading and reading. Eugene has no restrictions except travel restrictions. He can only enter the U.S. as an illegal alien through Canada or Mexico. If he enters the U.S. otherwise, he has to have a full rectal examination, cavity search, urethral swabbing, possibly, well, just those things. He may have to be screened for tuberculosis. But, yeah. Kimberly, it's not the solstice. The solstice is the maximum flexion point. That happens in like 3 months. The equinox, it's over. It's now spring. You noobs are descending into wintertime. Oh my God. You're freaking doomed. So check it out. We did have a 7th winter in a row with record snow in the northern hemisphere. I mean, snow extent was never that high, but snow mass balance and snow water equivalent were massive for 7 consecutive winters. And the snow mass balance doesn't even count the mountains. I mean, we covered it on the channel occasionally. Yes. Jupiter does have an air glow also. Yeah, I mean, Jupiter has an ionosphere, right? So Jupiter has a thing like the Schumann resonances. It's got... Did you know that if Jupiter's magnetic field... Check this out. If Jupiter's magnetic field was visible from Earth to the naked eye, it would be about the size of the full moon. Just to give you an example of how gigantic Jupiter's magnetic field is. Its L shells are super huge. So, and of course, that affects its... Think about how large its Lagrangian point 1 must be, right? Man, we should put an object there. Why don't we put an object at Jupiter's Lagrangian point 1? That seems like a good project. That's called 2001: A Space Odyssey. They're already planning to do that. People are wearing chrome shirts like me already planning to do that exact thing. So yeah, let us know what you're drinking now that it's springtime. I'm, of course, taking a break for a few hours before I get back on the bike, probably once again tomorrow, and rack up some more miles. But cheers. Happy spring or happy fall. And of course, a lot of people actually, autumn is their favorite season. That's very common. And I'm finally getting over a long-standing hatred for autumn because it's when school starts. I wasn't a particularly bad student. However, I did not like school. Although, when I first walked into kindergarten, seeing 30 kids in the same room caused me to realize the potential. So, I didn't really care about that. I just figured I'd be able to get out of going to school by learning to read at age 3. It didn't work out. It did not pan out, folks. Don't believe what they tell you. If you're self-educated, it better be good. Yes, Jupiter has a massive air glow. Jupiter has massive... cyclonic systems that are above its poles. You know, it's mostly invisible, but you can see part of it when the aurora occurs, because it has magnetic field lines that the incoming solar protons are going to sort of orbit. Not sort of orbit, literally orbit. And yeah, you can see the end result. Jupiter has massive aurora. And in fact, what about the James Webb imagery? You know, James Webb's first image was that one right there. And you can certainly see some air glow, wouldn't you say? Yes. Quite a bit of air glow there. So that's unprecedented detail into Jupiter's thermal systems, because you're looking at infrared. So lower frequency light than visible light, higher than microwaves. Quite a bit of air glow indeed. Yeah, that's a good one. Jupiter's whichever pole. So yes, and by the way, if you used HARP to heat this up, you would heat up a tiny little bit of this, and there'd be a little bit of like an eddy current there, and it would affect the stratosphere a little bit and cause a little bit of stratospheric heating. It wouldn't control Jupiter's weather. Jupiter's weather is really, really dense. And, you know, like I said, Jupiter has Schumann resonances. Every planet that has an ionosphere has Schumann resonances because it has a surface, and in the Schumann resonances, they bounce back and forth between the ionosphere and the surface of the planet. So every planet has that. I mean, they're more like this. But, yeah, fantastic imagery there from James Webb. Yeah, I think there is a flare going on right now in the northeast. Let's check this out because it looks pretty berserk. I mean, the sun has obliged the channel many, many times with some exciting stuff. No, I don't think so. Not in the past 2.5 hours. Looks pretty quiet. What's the X-ray profile? Well, we had a long-duration C-class flare. It's probably not going to end civilization. Any proton flux? Probably not. Although it is a long duration, so you never know. Not so much. Anyway, let me get back to that. That's the past couple of hours. And, oh, I'm already at 70 minutes. It's time for this stream to be over. Let me just see if there are any other comments I gotta respond to here. Again, cheers, happy spring, happy fall. It's been an epic end of winter, I gotta say. An epic end of winter. I thought it was gonna suck, and it's pretty good. Oh, smack. Eugene's drinking water and orange juice.
Eugene, I think you should make a band called They've Sprayed Our Wedding with Chemtrails. Maybe one day you could open for Sink Water. That's a grunge band that I'm thinking about making. Sink Water. And the concept for Sink Water is great. Imagine having a sink in like an old dilapidated hotel. Imagine like an old hotel that's been out of use for a decade. And it's all like the roof's caved in spots and it's all jacked up inside. And it's all jacked up inside like your mother-in-law. And the chemtrails. Seriously, where was I here? I seriously forgot my train of thought for real. Tell me in the comments what I was talking about, as I'd gone hypoxic several times today. So I do have a good excuse for being slightly idiotic at the moment. Just getting back to the chat here. Planes dumping fuel is environmental vandalism, but it doesn't do that much damage, and it's better than destroying planes and killing people. Because you don't really want your plane to turn into a fireball when you land it unexpectedly full of fuel. It's not like it's their favorite thing to fire off jet A or B off into the wild blue yonder. All right. Oh, yeah. All right. So what else can I talk about? Oh, I know. We're going to headlines. I was gonna cut this thing off, but you know what? Let's go to headlines. And let's check our favorite fake news source. Uh-oh. We're going to cover whether or not Trump's arrested, folks. We're going to cover whether or not Trump is arrested. Are you freaking... Oh my God. Are you feeling the suspense? I'm really concerned. It's just eating me up. It's just to quote Newman on Seinfeld, it's just eating me up inside, eating me up inside. Because I could never become a banker. Trump moves to suppress report from the Fulton County Special Grand Jury is their top headline. Is this gripping news? If they don't remove that report, Trump will purchase Greenland. You heard it here first on SNN. The Smash News Network, least busted name in news. If the report is not suppressed, Trump will purchase Greenland and build golf courses, subarctic golf courses to be played on ice sheets. Would you play ice sheet golf? I certainly would. How about a lovely cross-country ski course, snowmobiles, and all of that fun stuff? At the same time, Trump Bottled Water Company. Hey, the Donald, drop me a line. I'm an idea guy. I only do ideas. No, I won't be COO of the Trump Water Company. However, Trump Water, first advertised on SNN. You're welcome. We're visionaries. We talk about things that are going to happen in the future. Trump ice sheet golf? Tell me you wouldn't play ice sheet golf. I mean, have some casinos there. Like, don't purchase Greenland. Just buy a bunch of real estate from Denmark or from Greenland or whoever you got to buy it from. Whatever Vikings live there. Just buy real estate on Greenland and make Greenland water, melt the ice sheet. I mean, it would be, imagine how environmentalists would love this, because it would be tapping the water supply and reducing the likelihood that the AMOC gets shut down. In other words, we'd be drinking the water from Greenland instead of it ending up in the Atlantic Ocean. Right? So, I mean, think of how tremendous, how amazing this would be if we just had ice sheet golf. Trump ice sheet golf. You just use an orange ball instead of a white one. Come on. I mean, get on board with this. Get on board and take a short hydrofoil trip. We'll avoid icebergs and you'll play some ice sheet golf and chug gallons and gallons of Trump water. Eugene, Trump water. Come on, man. You got to move to Greenland just for a couple of years. You'll be the resident particle physicist there. What do you say there? All right, what else do we have here? Nay, if Eugene has you blocked, that's an amazing thing. Eugene, do you have Nay be blocked? Nay. Stop stalking Eugene. Stop stalking Eugene. It's not acceptable, okay? Eugene is hot property now, okay? Nay, you were not here earlier. You may not have heard me say that Eugene now has a new place, and it is steamy, okay? Steamy. You can type it in the comments. Quote, Eugene's new place is steamy, end quote. Smash-o-mash. In the first moments of spring, less than 1 hour into the vernal season, Eugene's ejaculate was spewed all across Europe. Now wait, I didn't say that. I was just joking. Did you know that I'm a published poet? Please don't type that in the comments. Actually, I guess it's too late. That's already typed in the YouTube transcription. Although, I don't think that stating Eugene's ejaculate was distributed all across Eastern Europe is technically against the TOS. So, I guess that's a finger. You decide which one. 20 years after the U.S.-led invasion, war-weary Iraqis find hope. By the way, that was a good move. I liked that move. If you don't think I'm critical of all bad decisions, what about the old move of take over the largest army in the entire Middle East by taking over Iraq? Remember that? The U.S. took over the largest army in the Middle East, and then they just said, you're fired, to the whole army. They just said Iraq doesn't have an army anymore. That was one of the Bush administration's brilliant ideas. Smart move, guys. Dick Cheney, if you're watching, I'm not suicidal. Anyway, what I was saying was they disbanded the Iraqi army, which was a gigantic army. I don't know how many people it had, like 750,000 or something. They just disbanded the Iraqi army, and guess what that brought to the world? ISIS. Yeah, ISIS. So if you like ISIS, thank W for that. Did you know that the U.S. military was downsized by 60% in the years before September 11th, 2001? There may be somebody to blame for that. I don't know. Anyway, let's bring you some more headlines here from a different source than this godforsaken cesspool, CBSnews.com. So anyway, the top headlines are Trump moves to suppress report, and 20 years Iraqis. Philadelphia reaches what? Philadelphia reaches a $9.25 million settlement with George Floyd protesters. I don't know what that is, and I'm not going further. Oh, Xi visits Moscow to meet with Putin as Ukraine war rages. How about that? Buddy times between Russia and China. Are you scared? Did you know that Russia's economy is the same size as Italy's? Are you still scared? Just checking. All right, let's look at some other headlines here, and I probably can't really show you the website. Here's a teeny tiny tit. Oh my God! Look at the ads. I can't show that. I can't show any of that. Here, have a look at the Galactic Core instead. All right, what are some good headlines we've got here? And if you've got a news headline you'd like us to cover, let us know in the comments. We'll consider it. And if it's a super chat, we'll address it for sure. Otherwise, we may tell you plebes to come back in the summertime. Putin tells Xi he's open to negotiating process. What? How is Xi? What's Xi gonna negotiate? Some refusal of transplant surgery for somebody who didn't get a certain type of medical intervention. Dag. That's still going on? Yep. California hospital refuses transplant surgery for woman with end-stage renal kidney disease. Have you pulled your money out of the bank yet and put it in a pillowcase? Congratulations. That's not going to help very much, but okay. Did you purchase ammo with all of your cash? Have you invested in toilet paper? Oh man, 16 terrorists arrested at the 16 terrorists on the FBI watch list crossed the border in February alone. That is berserk. How many got through? That is berserk. Miami Beach declares state of emergency amid spring break chaos. I did hear about a little bit of a shooting happening. A little bit of a shooting. Which is just this side of a lot of bit of a shooting. U.S. stocks gained. Again, there is a financial video yesterday posted to the Smash Team site. If you haven't seen it, if you're new to the channel, it's smashomash.com/Smash Team. If you're a gold or silver member, you'll get these GDAX daily reports. And even bronze members get the alerts. We do send out email alerts for things like tsunamis and things like that. So if you haven't seen the video we put out yesterday, there's a video that's shared only for Gold Smash Team members. Also, information about a plausible mechanism explaining the sunspot cycles. No big deal. Anyway, let me get back to my... the hell? Let me get back to my headlines here. Seriously. My feed is so delayed, I apologize. What is up with that? Oh my gosh. Is that enough ads for you? I think we showed enough ads. Let's show space. Space. A frontier. These are the voyages of you not seeing these ads. Our continuing mission to talk about how J.P. Morgan bought nickel. What? J.P. Morgan bought the nickel that was actually a bag of rocks. What? They're dumb as a box of rocks. And by the way, please don't talk to me about crypto. It is a speculative investment, just like other speculative investments. I'm not excited about it any more than any given stock, even though a stock represents an actual company. You know, most of them print earnings, things like that. Some of them pay dividends and... All right, what's going on? JP Morgan. Oh, First Republic. Their First Republic holdings were not helpful. Okay. Oh, looks like bonds sold off too. Bonds. So bond yields higher there, an indication that they've sold off. All right, I'm not seeing any more exciting posts. I want to know in the comments what you're drinking. Eugene says he only drinks water and orange juice. Why the hell are you drinking orange juice? Isn't that super expensive and not good for you? All right, anyway. Folks, think twice about drinking a pure glass of sugar with the same fructose content, sucrose content as a can of soda. Oh, Eugene. Orange juice? Seriously, isn't it ultra expensive? Oh, yes, and thanks for bringing up the galactic currency. Okay, first of all, allow me to... I have to re-up here. Hang on. I would share with you what it is, but I'm just going to say it's like a golden straw in color. Not a straw, not a golden shower straw, a golden straw. Like, you know, like yellowish gold. And it's sudsy, and I can't share anything besides that. But cheers. Yes, the galactic current sheet. By the way, I've seen some great tweets and stuff, and the galactic. I love the galactic current sheet so much. It's now manifested into a sentient entity, and it's on Twitter. So, galactic current sheet over on Twitter, absolutely amazing. It is the next things that we can expect, folks. One, Saturn's rings are going to appear to begin to reverse. So, you know, Saturn spins this way and the rings spin along with it. The rings are going to start to appear to reverse. However, we won't know until it's far too late that rather than reversing, they're only partially reversing and instead coalescing into an icy planet called Elohim. Wait, is that what it is? Is that the one that the galactic current sheet cult originally talked about in the first place? Because there is a space cult which believes that super smart giant aliens are going to show up and they're going to eat people. They're going to eat all the people except the ones who are members of the cult. And I believe that is actually the origin of some of the galactic current sheet stuff. If you look far back into the channel's history, there might be some really weird stuff going on there that I'm not even aware of. But there's definitely a lot of stupid stuff. There's definitely a lot of stupid stuff, and a lot of people paid a lot of money to say a lot of nonsense on the internet. For sure. It is quite astounding indeed. And Dave Tedball says he's greasy and he hasn't had a shower since last winter, which is Quite impressive indeed. And thanks for showing up, WOT Arty Noobs. Glad to see you on the live stream. So yes, the next thing that's going to happen is Saturn's rings are going to appear to reverse and then turn into a spooky, icy planet. And spooky aliens are going to be inside of it. It'll be a bubble or something held together by a force field, and then it'll fly around and do something spooky, possibly eating all the people who aren't members of the cult. And also around the same time, Jupiter's weather will reverse. The Great Red Spot will become a low pressure system instead of a high pressure system. So that should be, that'll be really exciting. It'll be like a hurricane instead of a high pressure, an anticyclone. Because, you know, the red spot isn't really a storm as we'd call it, because it is a high pressure system. So technically. And then also, let's see, the other promises from Galactic Current Sheet. I've read a few more. Eugene, help me out if you're still here. Mars orbit is going to get reversed. So Mars is, you know, it's going this way around the sun. It's gonna mysteriously switch because of Galactic Current Sheet. You know, maybe the water at the pole is going to become a ferrite magnet because reasons. And then I guess, oh yeah, the moon. Earth's moon will be ripped from orbit, crash into Venus, causing Venus to crash into the sun. And that'll cause like a sunspot that makes the sun behave as a Death Star and fire a laser beam into space, and it'll burn your genitals. It's tuned to only burn genitals. So I can't help it, folks. That way everybody will be steers instead of bulls. All right, Nate does confirm that she did stalk Eugene. So that's good. Let's see. Just making sure I haven't missed any comments here before I close this thing out. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in. It's always delightful to start out the spring season with folks just like you. Your friends, your foes, and everybody in between. People that are neutral. Yeah, friends, foes, and neutrals, right? That pretty much narrows it down. Also, acquaintances that have a slight idea of whether they'll be a friend or foe. By the way, folks, don't forget to love the people you dislike. It's super important. All right, so yeah, we got to end this thing. Thanks everybody for tuning in. It's always fun ranting about whatever random stuff comes up. Let's get rid of any kind of news crap and look at some current imagery. Let's do something different. How about we'll stream 131 angstroms for once. So, oh my God. Are we still, we're not showing anything. There we go. And how about we'll actually show you our list. Let's play another track that is actually on YouTube Music. Let's see. Is Conclusivity on there? On the 12 Days of Smash Miss? Do you know? Conclusivity? Is Conclusivity on 12 Days of Smash Miss? So here's another track that's on the 12 Days of Smash Miss playlist. You can find it on the YouTube channel. It's called Conclusivity. It's from like 2005 or 6, maybe, something like that. And I'll be right back. All right, YouTube folks, thanks again for tuning in to the Smash News Network. These supposed to name it news. See you soon with more space weather and music, etc. And don't forget to press those buttons over there and so on if you're viewing in syndication.